Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Europe for the one that they all want to win. Round number 5 of 17 here on the PC tier, and we are at the Principality of Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. I'll be taking you through the action. 18 minutes of probably the most important qualifying session you are going to see on the PC tier this season, followed by a 50% 39 lap race around what is a very tight, twisty circuit, as we all know it to be a very difficult track indeed. If you weren't with us for the last race at the Austrian Grand Prix, it was KangoKon who got the victory. Perhaps, even he admitted, perhaps a tiny bit fortunate with the timing of the 2 safety cars that we had last time out in Austria, but he took a fantastic victory there. He was lead car starting the race on the set of the medium tyres, and he finished up leading the race and winning it, so definitely very well deserved from him, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted with that. Second place was Marcus Towler as a reserve for the Red Bull, and in third place it was J. Cole getting his first podium of the season. And as you can see what that has done for the championship, KangoKon is now leading on 73 points. RJW Videos with another solid points finish. He is now second on 45. Velho drops to third on 41. Marcus Towler has 40, and he will be staying on 40 tonight. He has a race ban for a safety car infringement, plus another infringement related to footage from that incident. So he's on 40 points. He's now a full-time driver in the Mercedes, but we won't see him make his debut until next week. Merckx is 5th, and then we have Bloodwinds, Rafa, J. Cole, Cortalondi, Bogan rounding out the top 10. And Oli, Miami, Alec, Morgan Ball, Pitter and Sven just outside of it. And unsurprisingly, with both their drivers in the top 6, McLaren are leading the Constructors' Championship 103 points. Ferrari, the next team, on 51 at the moment. Quite a long way behind, so quite a lot for the Ferrari team to do if they want to catch up. We are, unfortunately, not expecting as full of a grid tonight as we've had over the last few races, mainly down to Storm Eunice. I hope everyone is staying safe from that. It has definitely been blowing a gale out here, so don't be surprised too much if you hear a few noises of wheelie bins flying around in the background. They'll probably be flying around about as fast as the F1 cars can do, of course. Monaco, slowest circuit on the calendar. Next week we'll be heading to one of the fastest in the UK. The week after we'll be heading to the fastest street circuit on the calendar in Saudi Arabia. Then it is Bahrain, Australia, Belgium, Netherlands, Russia before the break week for Easter. China, Hungary, Canada, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, the final 5 races, where if the form keeps going on at the moment, don't be too surprised if we don't get to Abu Dhabi for this championship. KangoKon is really putting in a brilliant performance at the moment. Will he be able to hold it on tonight? Are we going to see some pretty good performances in the race tonight? Who do you think is going to take the victory? And will we see something which has become fairly common over certainly the last race that I commentated at Monaco, which is traditionally, as I'm sure you're aware, the undercut tended to be the best strategy around here. Seems to have shifted now to the overcut being the best strategy. Staying out as long as possible, avoiding getting caught in traffic. Commentated on another league and I saw someone come from 14th to win around here purely on strategy in a very normal race. So don't be surprised if those drivers starting outside of the top 10. Maybe someone like Cortalondi. He's had 2 pole positions. He won't be getting one tonight. He does have a qualifying ban, so don't be too surprised if we get stuff like that happening. And we'll have to just see how things go. We are waiting for the final few drivers to join the lobby. I think, again, Storm Eunice has caused a few problems. It might be a bit of a smaller turnout tonight, so we might need some differing strategies throughout the field. Monaco, of course, being the shortest track. Their drivers, I think, will be fairly happy if it's a fairly small turnout, just because it makes it easier for them in qualifying. Do expect to see a lot of invalidated laps in qualifying, a lot of front wings going, I think, during this qualifying session as well, around this historic street circuit. First used in 1950, 2.074 miles, 3.337 kilometres, 19 turns with 12 to the right and 7 to the left. The 1 DRS zone on the run down towards Sandevort, and don't be surprised if we don't actually get too many heroics into Sandevort. You're going to be a brave person in this race to pull off any overtakes through there. You might see the odd 1 or 2 into the chicane, the Nouvelle chicane at the end of the tunnel, where I've started seeing them quite a lot. It's actually around Massenet and Casino Square as well. Sometimes drivers can get a run through Mirabeau and the hairpin. Everywhere else for the lap, it is pretty much single file. Into Vasquez if you're feeling extremely brave, and Anthony Noakes as well, likewise. So Going to be a tough place for the drivers to overtake tonight. They all know that. Maybe it is just about consistency. Maybe it's all about deciding, you know what, I'm not too bothered about getting loads of overtakes. I'm just more bothered about making sure that my front wing stays attached for the entire race. Because if you do that, I'd say you have got yourselves a very handy chance indeed of getting a very decent amount of points. As we head into the lobby then, no one exactly rushing to head out onto the circuit at the moment. Perhaps what you'd expect for the start of a qualifying session. Everyone really just taking their time at this moment. They know they don't need to rush out there. Who's going to be the first one to head out onto the circuit? Track evolution, as always on a street circuit, and as pretty much on every circuit on F1 2021, is absolutely crucial. So it could be, well, one of those. If you're the last driver to cross the line, you could set a brilliant time. Don't be surprised to see some drivers trying to get into the top 10 on a set of mediums. That has worked well for KangoCon last time around. Don't know if he's going to try it this time because, you know, pole position is still very handy around here. I said the alternate strategy can work, but you've got to be really on it, and you've got to try and avoid any early safety cars. If there's a safety car on the first couple of laps, you could well see a lot of the cars dive their way into the pits, put on a set of the medium tyres, try to get towards the end of the race. Tyre wear not exactly heavy around this circuit. Looks like Black Panther's going to be one of the first drivers to head out onto the circuit. Who have we got just ahead of him? I believe that is Velho who's going to be the first man out when onto the track. Worst finish of the season last time. Got involved in a couple of incidents. Got spun around towards the end of the race. Finished 11th though with the fastest lap. And let's not forget, top 12 get points here in LOA. The points are exactly the same as they are in Formula 1 for the top 7 drivers. But then instead of going 4-2-1 for 8th, 9th and 10th, it goes 5-4, 3-2-1 for 8th down to 12. And the fastest lap point is valid for anyone in the top 12, not just anyone in the top 10. As Velho taking it very carefully, as you would expect for a outlap here at the Monaco circuit. We mentioned first used in 1950. The last 2020, of course, it wasn't here because of the COVID pandemic, and that was the longest running streak any circuit had in Formula 1. Had been used every year from 1955 up until 2020. Monza now the host of that longest streak for one circuit. 1981 was the 1980 I should say was the last time we didn't have a race at Monza. The only time in Formula 1 World Championship history there hasn't been a race at Monza, which is pretty much the complete opposite to that circuit. And let's see what Velho can do then around the streets of Monaco as he heads along the start-finish straight. Watch out for that protect it on the right-hand side into Saint-Devote, cutting that curve nicely, riding a bit on the curb on the exit, winding up the hill now. Through Beau Rivard, just little right-hander into Massenet, a long left-hander. You want to get yourself over to the left-hand side of the track. You do not want to be taking it like that. I would not be surprised if Velho has picked up a tiny bit of front wing damage there. So we'll see if XL Merckx, winner of round number 2 of the season at France, we'll see what he can do as he throws his car into Casino Square now. 80.5 for the first sector, downhill into Mirabeau. Very easy to snatch a break there, and then the slowest corner on the Formula 1 calendar, the Lowe's hairpin. You can just see Velho slightly ahead of him as he comes through the second part of Mirabeau and now into Portier, where we saw Ayrton Senna famously lose it in 1988, where Pascal Wehrlein ended up stuck against the barrier 29 years later. Flat out now through the tunnel. Spot your braking point at around the 100-metre point for the Nouvelle chicane. Left, right and left. Merck just running a bit wide there. He now gets ready for the run down towards Tabac. We'll see whether Velho gets in the way of him. Hopefully he will see this car coming as he does, flying through the swimming pool now does Merck. That curb nowhere near as vicious on the game as it is in real life. Through Raskas again, just not quite getting the car hooked up through there into Anthony Nogues, and it's all about getting on the traction. DRS open through the final corner. And what sort of time is it going to be for the Alfa Romeo? It is a 1:10.314 for the Alfa Romeo. XL Merck then goes onto provisional pole position for now. Miami, I'm not sure has been able to get a lot of practice. He's in second place at the moment. Did miss the race last week, but Aston Martin, both of their drivers, have scored points in every race they've taken part in. And I believe J. Cole is one of the few to have scored points in every single race so far. In fact, I think there's only 6 drivers managed to do that, and J. Cole is one of them, so he'll be hoping to keep that streak up. But again, he didn't think he was going to be here tonight, and neither did Miami because of the power cut. Bryn Evans has been able to join the session. He might be able to join in the race. Don't think he'll be able to set any times in qualifying, though. He's another one who's been suffering with Storm Eunice, but starting down in 14th, he'll be another driver who's glad It is a bit of a reduced grid as Exile Miami coming around, just trying to avoid all of that traffic. You can see the very pad-like movements, which always make it tricky around the circuit. He now heads towards the finish line. 1:10.5 as Bogan. That is an absolutely stonking lap time from the Williams. 1:09.2 on a set of medium tyres. I'd be very surprised if that's not good enough to get himself into the top 10. Let's see what the championship leader can do. Another one who'll be hoping that these yellow-walled medium tyres, Pirelli bringing their free softest to the Monaco circuit. The low speeds really don't require any tyre wear. Of course, back in 2018 with the Pirelli Rainbow, it was Hypersoft, Ultrasoft and Supersoft, weirdly being the hardest tyres that we use around this circuit. So let's see what Kango Kong can do. He's not in a pole position so far this season. Has the championship leader at the moment. 3 podiums. Only time he was off the podium was at the French Grand Prix, where the weather catching him out and getting involved in a bit of an incident meant he finished down in 8th place, but just keeping it nice and clean through there. He'll be hoping to, I imagine, at least slot in ahead of Mert, and he does do a 1:09.961. 7/10 of a second though, still off what Bogan's done with a third of the session gone. That is a very good time from the Williams man at the moment. Did have a pole position. Let's not forget, round number 3 of the season. His first race at Portugal, he's got pole. And he scored points in both of the races he's been in as Blood wins now. Also on a set of medium tyres. He goes into 6th. So the mediums are looking very good at the moment. And it is Bogan on top from Kango Kon. Merckx is on a set of the soft tyres. He did his best lap on softs, but he's going for mediums next time around. Then Rafa, Miami, Bloodwinds and Sniper owns the only other drivers to set a lap time with 11 minutes, 38 seconds remaining. See if we've got anyone else coming out on a lap at the moment. J. Cole's invalidated this lap. Haven't seen any damage so far. Velo obviously came very close coming through Massenet. Completely got it wrong. Went way too deep into that corner. I think was very lucky to avoid getting any damage. Alec, he's quite a bit down on what we saw the drivers doing earlier on, especially what we've seen Merckx and Kango Kon do. So I don't expect this time from Alec to be challenging towards the top of the order. Has scored points this season. I believe he is now actually a full-time driver in the Haas. He's reserved for them a couple of times. 11th and 6th, his 2-point scoring finishes. Didn't take part last time out at Austria. Didn't finish at the Portuguese Grand Prix as he really committed through the first part of the swimming pool and got it absolutely wrong for the second part. Had to bail out of that one to avoid hitting the wall, so not surprised to see him slowing down. Whether he'll be coming into the pits or he's just lining up another lap. No, he's decided to come into the very tight pit entry here, and because it is tight, you can get away with not actually putting the pit lane speed limiter on. By the time you reach the line, you're probably doing slow enough anyway, and then the game will just throw it on for you anyway. So that could be one for these drivers to watch out for. Velo, see how he's doing on this lap. Looks a bit more squirrely. To say he was understeering earlier on. Of course, they are now in park firmate conditions. You can make changes to tyre pressure, differential, and the front wing is again a bit like what we saw with Merckx earlier on, really. Oh, apologies for that one, folks. Really taking a lot of the curve at the Nouvelle chicane and getting it absolutely wrong. Indeed, not ideal. And again, that rear end of the car now starting to swivel around all over the place as he comes through the final sector, through the swimming pool, sliding his way through Anthony Nose. Don't expect this to be a time challenging for the fastest at the moment. And no, only 6th place then for Velo, a man who we've seen on the podium earlier this season. A 2nd place at France. You might remember it was him and Merckx just sort of running away with it in the wet conditions. But 6th the best he can do so far. But his teammate for tonight, Bogan, is the fastest driver at the moment. Kasu unable to make it, and Merckx only half a tenth down as he comes through the middle sector. So let's see what the Alfa Romeo can do. One of the early favourites for the championship finds himself in 5th place at the moment. He'll be hoping to take advantage of a few absences. Goes up, well, stays in 3rd place, but does improve his time on that set of the medium tyres. So that is good news for him, as J. Cole's left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in. Otherwise, this could cause all sorts of problems, as you've just seen around about there. So it is Bogan fastest with half the session gone from Merckx, Kango Kon, and then Rafa. He's now going out on a set of soft tyres. So doing the opposite of what we've seen a lot of the other drivers do. They've all sort of gone mediums, well, softs to medium tyres. And I think Rafa, realising he's got this wrong, as that is Black Panther, who we're not going to be able to get on board with, unfortunately. But he has got it very wrong indeed, as Black Panther. I think that is a fair point to make. I don't know whether we'll see the car just on the exit of chicane. You can see that Ferrari just parked in the middle of the road. Wheel off over on the right-hand side. Black Panther yet to set a time. And he won't be doing whatsoever. He will be starting at worst 13th. I hope Jake Cole is able to get back into the session. Otherwise, that is going to cause all sorts of issues. But hopefully he should be able to get his way back in. We see there Merckx just coming into the pits now to sort of bail on what was, of course, being a second run. Sniper owns going around the circuit at the moment as he just heads through the swimming pool. Gets it a lot tidier than what we've seen a lot of the other drivers do it earlier on. And I'm just getting some interesting news here. We are actually going to have a lobby restart, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to have a restart to the lobby. So that's just to add a tiny bit more tension. And there will be a big difference when you come back into the lobby. You'll see a major difference with the Monaco circuit when we make our way back in. So apologies for this, folks, that we are having this restart. Monaco being one of the longer rounds on the calendar. Not too surprising that we end up having something that's going to make it even longer, but not a lot we can do about this. We can tell you this restart is because the lobby is meant to be set at night time for Monaco here in LOE. You do see it in a few leagues now. Personally, I do prefer it in the daytime, but we are going to be heading towards night time, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long before we do get everyone back into the lobby, and we might even be able to invite a few drivers ourselves to try and speed this process up ever so slightly and just make it a bit nicer for everyone to get their way in and hopefully not cause any problems for those drivers. So yes, we are heading back towards night time, and that is going to make a bit of a difference. Of course, for the drivers, it is going to be a bit of difference with tyre temperatures going to be the main difference that we are going to see is differences in tyre temperatures. Don't think it's going to cause too many major differences on the F1 game. Not as much as it would on Assetto Corsa, iRacing, even R-Factor, for example. But hopefully it won't be too long before we are able to get this lobby underway. Good news for Bryn Evans. He's now able to start back in the session. You might remember he was late for the initial qualifying with that issue with the power cut. So everyone's been able to have a couple of practice laps in. Black Panther, he'll be relieved, of course, after that crash that he's able to get his way back into things. But we do wait for the final few drivers to come in. So again, apologies about this once again. You're going to have to cope with my dulcet tones, coping you through the next few minutes. Let us know if, out of all the circuits on the calendar, seeing as we are changing Monaco to night time, out of all the circuits on the calendar, which one would you like to see most as a night race? Out of the current circuits that we have got, we've got Saudi as a night race, Abu Dhabi is a night race, Bahrain and Singapore, Qatar last year as a one-off was a night race. Any others on the calendar that you would like to see the drivers going around at night? I know it's not on the calendar at the moment, but if I did have to pick one, I'd probably go for Sepang now that that's got the ability to host the night races again, as I believe, because the weather was meant to be dry for the first sessions, we obviously not privy to that rain information. Because the weather was going to be dry, it is going to be dry conditions for this race. So that's one less thing the drivers have got to worry about. It raining in the race session here. That always makes it a bit nicer around Monaco, now that you've got that certainty of it being dry conditions. We are just waiting, I think, for one final driver to join, and then we'll be able to get ourselves back underway with this session. And it's a good time maybe to remind ourselves of what the championship standings are coming into this race. There's Kango Con, 73 points at the moment. RJW's in second, Velo in third, Marcus Towler fourth. Amazingly, none of those three drivers have actually won any races. Out of the 4 races we've had so far, 2 won by Kango Con, 1 won by Merckx, and the very first one of the season won by Carter Lundy, who does have that qualifying ban. Let's not forget, Carter Lundy with a quali ban, so he'll be starting from the back of the grid, which should be 14th place as long as we don't see any crashes throughout the session, as I think we are still waiting for actually 2 drivers, not 1. We seem to have gained an extra driver all of a sudden out of somewhere. I think we are just waiting for the final one to come in now, so we are going to have 14 drivers in this session. Well, 14 is better than 13. 14 is better than 13, and we will be going in 3 minutes if they do not make their way into the session by then. Hopefully we get them in, because we do obviously want to have as many drivers as possible for you here tonight, and as much action as well. And there's going to be plenty of LOE action throughout the rest of the week as well. Don't forget, 6:30 tomorrow, we've got Division 1, Division 3, and Division 4 here in LOE, so make sure to check that out. And let's not forget there is Division 2 and Division 5 on at 8:10 as well. In the week, you're going to have the Endurance and the Formula 1, so plenty to keep yourselves nice and entertained. But of course, the main action being in Division 1. NSX, well, it's actually Justas leading the championship at the moment. Can he hold on to that championship lead? Campbell not too far behind him either, so it should be a very close between those drivers. As we are just awaiting, I think the final one has joined the session, so hopefully we should be able to get ourselves underway in the not too distant future and get ourselves what we expect. Well, it's Monaco. Expect the unexpected, I think, is the best thing. Expect qualifying to be, as we've already seen from the first few minutes in that session, extremely close. Drivers now perhaps with the reduced grid, tactically picking the medium tyres in what I think is probably going to be the cleverest thing to do in this session. We are now just waiting for the final few drivers to ready up. I believe we have got all 14 that are going to be taking part in this session. I think, judging by that first part, Bogan is going to look like a driver who is going to be one to watch once again. He looked very, very good in the first part of that session, and that is going to be a bit of a worry if he can continue that pace over. I mean, even Merckx and KangoCon couldn't get their way through him either, so it is going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, for some of these drivers just to get everything right. As you might expect, we know this is an extremely difficult circuit to go around. The slowest on the calendar, we've mentioned, the traditional street circuit still. Unlike some of these more modern street circuits, Jeddah especially, and Azerbaijan as well, with that very fast main straight. Hanoi, I know we've all forgot that from F1 2020, but Hanoi, all these new street circuits seem to have these long flat-out sections. Even Singapore has the long run down Raffles Boulevard, despite perhaps feeling more like a traditional street circuit than a lot of the others that we've mentioned. Monaco does not have that. Nouveau again being the fastest part of the circuit. This is where, you know, back in the olden days where they were allowed to change the gear ratios throughout the season, you would see them using their shortest ratios possible, only really getting to about 170, 180 miles per hour tops at the end of the straight. And it's where we quite often saw the, well, we still see it nowadays, of course, the special steering rack that the teams have to put on for the Monaco circuit, because that is the only way you are getting your way around some of these corners. But we are now into the session then. And a bit like the first time, no one really rushing out, although I believe that is an Alfa Romeo down at the end of the pit lane, who is just starting to make his way out on the circuit. Couldn't quite tell from that distance. In fact, it was actually a Haas. I knew it was one of the Ferrari junior teams, and it is Rafa who's going to be heading out first. Now, this could be interesting for some of the drivers. If they've not practiced in the night, it might take a couple of laps just to get used to how things look. Of course, Monaco having a very different feel at the night time too, as it does in the day. Don't worry, I don't think we'll ever see a nighttime race in real life, as it wouldn't really match up to the European TV schedule. So I think things are going to remain very interesting throughout this session. Already invalidated. Only an outlap. The main places you can see are the invalidations on this. Yes, into Sandebot. Hairpin as well is one. And the second mirror bow just after the hairpin. The chicane, you do get some invalidations. So even though you naturally think, well, track limits at Monaco, surely, Luke, they're just defined by the wall. Surely there's not too many places you can mess up your lap. You would be surprised. There are quite a few around here where you can get things very wrong indeed. It looks like Rafa is going to be the first driver to set a lap then. Let's see, what can he do? Lighting up those rear tyres is Rafa as he now heads down towards Sandevot. Turn number one. No one coming out of the pits. Makes it nice and easy for him, taking just about the right side amount of that curb. The rear wanting to get away as he now gets ready for the run up the hill through Beaurivage into Massenet. Stay towards the left-hand side of the track to flick the car right through Casino Square. Watch out for that bump on the left as you head towards Mirabeau. 18.4, very handy first sector indeed on this set of the medium tyres. Just a bit of a correction there through Mirabeau now into the Lowe's hairpin. The slowest corner in Formula 1, less than 50 kilometres per hour. Into the second Mirabeau, not even going full throttle. You can't go full brakes either if you don't have ABS, as you will really lock up as we now head into Portier, and now flat out through the tunnel. Possibly the best overtaking opportunity is into the Nouvelle chicane, braking at the 100 metre board there. Nice and steady from Rafa, keeping it hugged close to the right hand side. We've not seen too many manage that earlier on. Just needs to watch out. Carter there, just trying to get out of the way as best as possible. Don't forget how Rafa up as he throws the car through the first of the second part of the swimming pool again. Just hitting that curb, unsettling him ever so slightly. Coming through Raskas where Schumacher parked his car in 2006 in a very controversial moment in the Germans' final Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Rafa comes across the line, 1:10.095, an improvement from what we saw him do earlier on that set of the medium tyres, so I think he'll be fairly happy with how that's gone. Stiprones looks like he's taking it fairly easy at the moment. Jacobs invalidated as he comes through the middle sector. Alec dives the car into the pits as Merckx coming around the middle sector as well. He was up towards 109s last time on his medium tyres, so we'll see if he can match that or get close. Looks like he's going to be quite a bit off, half a second I should say, off of Rafa on this occasion. A 1:10.537 for Merckx. Stiprones goes into third. Did look like he got it wrong coming through the chicane on his last lap, so I think there's more time to be found. But even if you are a driver who's a bit slower, no disrespect to these guys, but because I know I'd be well at the back of the grid, but for example, I've done a league race around Monaco before, and if I hadn't broke my front wing, I might have even got a podium despite being one of the slowest in the field. It is all about just keeping it clean and keeping it consistent, because other drivers will make mistakes, and I'm just starting to wonder whether the mistake we saw earlier from Black Panther was genuine or whether he knew the session was restarting. He's in 8th place at the moment. He's invalidated, and imagine that must have been coming through Sandervot. There's Bryn Evans on a second lap of the medium tyres. We've seen this quite a lot this season from Bryn and a few of the other drivers. Really, that rear of the car looking very lively indeed. Perhaps the setup not giving you the downforce that you'd want, and at Monaco it is pretty much strap on as much downforce as possible. You are not worried at all about the drag of the car. We know overtaking is exceptionally difficult about this circuit. Just get it as right as possible through the corners to make sure you're qualifying near the front, as Bryn invalidates on his second run coming through the swimming pool. Really the final part of the circuit where you can invalidate. No surprise then to see him dive his way into the pits. But what can the man who was fastest last session do? Bogan's invalidated this time, so is he going to dive it into the pits, or is he going to carry on another run? No, it looks like Bogan is going to give it another run at least, so the night time is catching a few drivers out at the moment. Only 3 of them sitting a lap time in the first 5 minutes of this session. Just watching out for Alec leaving the pit lane. Won't have caused any issues. I believe they have been warned about using that pit exit line, so if they do cross the yellow line, they could well be viable for some licence points and possibly a 5-second penalty as well, especially if they do get in the way of some of the other drivers, as Bogan an 18.4. That's faster than what we saw from Rafa earlier on, so as long as he keeps it valid, then this could well be the first time we get into the 1-minute 9s in this session. Nice and tidy through Portier. A few little stabs of the brake though as he was going through there. Flat out through the tunnel. You can see the car's not even reaching 8th gear around this circuit. Not using all the gears. Expect maybe a few drivers to just try it a bit with the fuel. Try to save a tiny bit of fuel throughout the session maybe, because starting lighter you'll be throwing yourselves around the corners a bit faster, and we know you don't need it too much for the straights. Monaco not really a fuel hungry circuit at all, but this has been a very good lap then from Shazoo Bogan. He's taken pole position at Portugal in his first race of the season. Is he going to take it here? 109.183, nearly a second faster than what we've seen from everyone else. And perhaps I shouldn't be too surprised to see that is why Rafa and Merckx are considering a set of these soft tyres, because that time is going to take some beating from Bogan, even on the fresher, better soft tyres. 109.183 puts the reserve driver in the Williams fastest of everyone so far. And a bit like the first session, both of the McLarens are trying to match him on those mediums as well. Kango Con was about 7/10 of a second down in our first runs, but let's see what he can do this time. And again, it's actually a bit closer than he was in the first session, about 5.5 this time for Bogan. Bloodwind's his team for Kango Con. Even Bloodwind's teammate of Kango Con, he can only manage a 1:10.9, so he's another one that's lost a bit of time in the change of sessions. But 11 minutes to go, and it's Bogan on pole position, Kangokon in second. Rafa and Merckx showing that they might now go on a set of the soft tyres just to try something different. We have got a yellow flag, and I think that might have just been Carter-Lundy getting... I'm not sure who that was, actually getting well out of the way of the others. It could have been Bogan. Oh! Could have been Bogan getting out of the way, and that is Black Panther not having a good run through the chicane. Again, finding it pretty difficult. I know he was disappointed with his performances, especially as how he did at the Austrian Grand Prix. Was his best result of the season, but he feels like he could have done a lot better with that. He finished in 10th place, his first top 10 of the season. And he's carrying on this lap, maybe just to get a bit of practice, maybe just to get a valid lap in. You never know if anyone else is going to have a crash around this circuit and get things badly wrong. So Black Panther, sensible perhaps to set himself into 7th on that time, but I would expect to see him come into the pits as we see what the man who got pole position in round number 2 of the season at France, but is yet to get any points in the 3 races he's taken part in. What can Bryn Evans do for the rest of this lap? Let's follow the Alfa Romeo around. Just heard the engine notes there as he comes through Portier. Short shifting, unsurprisingly, the tactic that we see everyone doing. Need to do it if you want to be fast to get that best possible rip. We've got a yellow flag again. Just can't quite make out where that is at this moment in time. Don't think anyone has had an issue. Could well have been traffic trying to get out of the way again. But this is looking like a good lap from Bryn Evans. Might have just clipped the right-hand side of the wall there on the entrance of a swimming pool. But doesn't look like he's got any end plate damage. So looks like he's got away from it. With it, do not be surprised if this gets him perhaps up where around Kangokon and Rafa are at the moment. And in fact, he slots just behind Rafa on a 1:10.285. But again, very respectable lap time on those mediums. Do not be surprised if that is up towards the top. Carter-Lundy is invalidated on his run on the soft, so he's going to go for another one. And Rafa, I think he must be having a bit of a warm-up on his soft tyres. So a lot of drivers choosing the softs this time. We saw everyone go towards the mediums in that first session. Everyone here, perhaps with the lower track temperatures, feeling like they need to get some good times in, going for a set of the soft tyres, as that is an absolutely lovely view from the Grand Hotel there. J. Cole's now gone up into second on a set of the softs. 109.6. Well, got his first podium, I should say, last time around. So, not surprised to see him go for a set of soft tyres. Tends to race as better than he qualifies. So, around here, might have been a track that he struggled on, especially seeing as he hasn't had too much practice. Was not expected to be here tonight, but he's one of the drivers who's actually benefited from Storm Eunice, as that has cancelled his plans for this evening as Alec... Oh! Big shunt, and the first driver to retire from this session just lost the rear of the car ever so slightly coming through the first part of the swimming pool. And that is how quickly Monaco can bite, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure we all knew that already. That is a very big visual indication of just how fast it can go wrong around here. Carter-Lundy taking it very slow through that part of the circuit. I think again a lap time that hasn't... Well, of course, he's got that qualifying ban, so he won't be able to set a lap time. So he's just going around and heading towards the pit lane now. Don't be surprised if he retires his way from the session, but he is going to start ahead of Alec. So that's one less car for him to work his way past. And there's one who's behind him at the moment. RJW Videos, 18.7 on that set of medium. So 2 tenths off the fastest as he comes through sector 2. I think a bit surprised to see himself fast, well, or towards the top of the championship. Second at the moment with that podium at round number 3 and also close to a podium in the first round of the season. He goes into 7th on a 1:10.6 at the moment on the medium. So 6 minutes 56 seconds remaining. Bogan, fastest of everyone. J. Cole is second. Kangokon in 3rd position, although he's now decided to go for the set of softs, the more traditional strategy. And I wonder whether this is just going to force some of those other drivers towards the top. Are we going to see Bogan, his best laps on the mediums, in the top 8? Everyone apart from J. Cole's best lap is on that set of the medium tyres. But as you can see now, Rafa looks like he's going to be using Kangokon does. Merckx is using them as well. And he's a 10th. He's actually nearly 2 tenths down coming through the first sector. So can only imagine the Alfa Romeo has made a tiny little mistake as he's worked his way through the first sector with that Dutch Lion helmet on his head at the moment. I'm presuming it's a Dutch Lion. Apologies if I have got that wrong. Just seems very reminiscent of the Dutch national football team badge. Avoids the orange, though, of the Nouvelle Chicane. That Armco on the left-hand side, signifying where the marshals are. And there's plenty needed around this circuit and they will probably have plenty of work to do, as again he is down. So I think just maybe building up on this lap. Kangocom caught in all sorts of traffic. I don't know whether he was trying to get out of the way there, but there's a few others I think also just trying to work their way through this traffic, and one of them is Black Panther, who could have all sorts of trouble with the cars up ahead of him at the moment. That's an Aston Martin of J. Collar's gone out on a set of the medium tyres. We've got another McLaren there of Bloodwinds just trying to get out of the way. Black Panther, he knows any time at the moment will be a big improvement. Did have that spin on his last run where he just clipped the rear through the Nouvelle chicane, and you do see that there's crashes to look out for at this circuit. We've already seen Swimming Pool just clipping that inside at Nouvelle chicane with the rear of the cars. Another one that we've seen even the best do around here, and if you do it heavy enough you can rip off the rear tyre and it can be a retirement from the session. But Black Panther heading around the final couple of corners. Don't think this is going to improve his position, but it will be a massive improvement as you would expect on lap time. And there you go, 1:12.043. So still quite a way off Cyprones at the moment, 1.1 seconds. But he'll be happy to be now more solidified in that 10th place. He knows he's going to be at worst 12th. He'll be ahead of Cartolondi and he will be ahead of Alec. But of course he'll still be hoping that he can get himself further up the order. J. Cole has invalidated his lap. Rafa didn't get a good first sector on his set of the soft, so this is his real first soft run on anger in the Haas. He's had some decent results so far this season. Always seems to be there or thereabout for the points. Got a podium at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix after getting a penalty removed. It was RJW video, so we thought, Carter's been disqualified from the session. Well, I said that qualiband's not going to do him too bad because he'll be starting 13th, but now he'll be starting 14th behind Alec. So Alec just getting away with one maybe slightly there, but I'm sure he won't be minding too much. Ferrari of Black Panther just getting well out of the way. Rafa's had a very tidy lap so far. Now, you don't get as much of an improvement on the soft tyres around here as you do at some of the other circuits, but you can see he's still 6 tenths up at the moment on his personal best time coming through sector 2 as the wheel of his teammate just seems to be all alone out there on the track, just trying to make its own little run around Monaco. If it goes into the bars around Vasquez, it's going to get charged an arm and a leg for a beer around there. The second place for Rafa. Very good lap indeed on these softs. I think this is going to give Bogan something to think about. I think we're going to see a few more drivers try the soft tyres, especially the likes of, well, we've seen Merckx do it earlier on, but it didn't work. Well, it did work out for him in the end. Merckx done it. I think Kangokon's going to attempt it as well. So Bogan, he's looking very good at the moment, and in fact he's retired from the session, so he's definitely not bothered. If he starts this race on a set of the medium tyres, he could be in a very handy situation indeed, depending how much traffic everyone gets stuck in. And because we've got quite a split out field, it might not be too long before you catch up to a car, but you're not going to have as many cars to catch up to. So I'm not sure whether starting on those set of mediums is going to be a blessing or a curse for Bogan. If someone can stick with him and try an undercut, it could be very hard to pass later on in the race. We're on board with the only man apart from Black Panther, I'm sure he's making his way back towards the pits, though it looks like he is still pushing despite being half a second down at the moment. Maybe just pushing to work his way back into the pits is the Ferrari. And no, he's deciding to carry out for another lap, so just trying to get a bit of practice in. But what can Bryn Evans do? We've seen his fastest run on a set of soft tyre on mediums. What can the pole sitter at the French Grand Prix do on the set of softs? Not surprising. Nearly 3 tenths of a second up then coming through sector 1, and that's only, 18.5 second sector, so really finding a lot of time. Nice and careful through the Grand Hotel, the Lowe's hairpin, station hairpin. It's been called so many different things at the moment. Only one name this though, tunnel section expanded as the hotel expanded, of course, so a bit of a longer tunnel than what it used to be in the olden days. It is very difficult in the wet conditions because of course it stays drier for longer than the rest of the circuit, but then once the rain starts to get brought in, once the rest of the place is drying out, that stays wet, as Bryn is now 6 tenths of a second up. We've had Kangokon retired from the session, and that is an invalidation for Bryn. What a shame from what was looking like a very handy lap indeed. He's got plenty of ERS, as you would expect around Monaco, so he's got plenty of time just to go again, and that would have been good enough for pole position by 2 thousandths of a second. So if he nails this lap and doesn't invalidate, don't be surprised to see him maybe steal the pole position from his teammate in terms of Shizou. Bryn, despite not having it in his name, is a Shizou driver mainly on ACC. Mainly does F1 for a bit of fun at the moment, and he's not found as much time on this lap as he did last time. Maybe got a bit distracted by the car in front of him, and he's done a Vosberg at... Still a Vosberg there. That is coming into Mirabeau. Just finding reverse, trying to head out there on the circuit. Just burning a bit of fuel off. Maybe a bit of frustration. I'm not quite sure whether he's trying to get disqualified from the session here or what on earth he's trying to do. And he is trying to get disqualified from the session. Yeah. Don't get what Bryn was doing there, to be honest. Oh. What on earth was that he just passed? That's Bryn's car's now parked itself in the middle of the track. I think RJW videos. He's retired in the pitch. J. Colin Kango Con have retired. We're on board with Bloodwinds. I said it's all going to kick off at Monaco. We shouldn't be too surprised to see a lot of things happening at the moment. That's a Williams travelling, well, Alpine, I should say, travelling very slowly. I believe of Stiprones, who's just going to be trying to make his way round. He's got all of his front wings, so he should be able to get another one done. But this is going to be a very anticlimactic end to this qualifying session at the moment, because we've not got too many cars who could set a lap time. Checkered flag is out. Black Panther knifes the best he's going to do after the disqualification for Bryn. Is Bloodwinds improving? Is he going to find any time? Can he get himself up ahead of his teammate? Not sliding through Vascas and Anthony Nobes like that. He's not. Very squibbly at the exit of this lap and doesn't find any time. Stays in 6th place. Miami, he's not set a time yet. He's just heading through the Nouvelle chicane at the moment. Merck's coming. He's improving at the moment. Can he get on pole position in the Alfa Romeo? No, he cannot. Invalidated that lap in the end, so stays in 3rd place. Rafa is improving, though. He's 0.2 of a second up here. Is Verhaas. We could see this get pole position. We could see this be the first man to get into the 1 minute 08, as it looks like Bryn's pedal got stuck. So apologies for that one, Bryn. His brakes got stuck on. And that is why he's out of the session. Rafa gets pole position right at the end. 109.059. He takes his first pole position of the season, but it is Bogan alongside him on a set of the medium tyres. That could well be an interesting time indeed. Rafa, though, fastest of everyone. Bogan will be starting in the top 10 on a set of mediums. Merckton, J. Cole, an all-XL 3rd row of the grid. J. Cole's best qualifying of the season in 4th. Can he get another podium? Following on from last week, it's an all McLaren 3rd row of the grid. 5th is Kango Con on the mediums. 6th is Bloodwind on a set of the soft tyres. RJW Videos is starting in 7th position. Stiprones is 8th. Black Panther is 9th. Miami and Velo didn't set a time. Alec crashed out on circuit. Bryn Evans got disqualified with a sticky brake pedal. And Cartolondi, he disqualified from the session and had that qualifying ban, of course. So, wouldn't have been able to take part even if he hadn't have been disqualified. So that is how the race has... That is how qualifying has gone. Hopefully, Bryn can get his pedal sorted out, because it did look like he had some good pace around here. And maybe starting lower down... he could have a bit of an opportunity around this circuit. We are just waiting for the drivers to pick their setups and strategies. They, as we mentioned in the first part of qualifying, you can make a few changes to the car. Front wing angles, differentials, tyre pressures, fuel loads, obviously not being a traditional setup thing, but you can change that. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of drivers start late expecting a safety car. We've seen a crash in both of the qualifying sessions, and I think crashing will be quite a common theme around this Monaco circuit. First news in 1950, 3.37 kilometres, 2.074 miles, 19 turns with the one DRS zone into Sandoval, Nouvelle chicane and Mirabeau. Many classic corners around this circuit, as we're going to take a look at what tyres everyone has gone for. We knew everyone inside the top 10, and for perhaps the first time ever, it was a bit of a mix inside the top 10. We're not used to saying that too much. Outside the top 10, Alec has gone for the softs, everyone else has gone for the mediums. So, despite not having a great qualifying for Velo, Bryn and Cartolondi, I'd definitely not write them out just as of yet. On those set of the medium tyres, they could put in a very good performance indeed, I think, especially if they make this overcut work. Said undercut is what people traditionally think is best at Monaco, but I've seen quite a number of races on this game on PC and on PS across a number of leagues where drivers have made the overcut work better than the undercut. Just staying out that bit longer. You can see it suggesting a medium hards over medium soft strategy. I will pay for a journey to Monaco if anyone does that strategy without a safety car. It will be soft to medium. It will. be medium to soft for all of the drivers in the field, given that it is a conventional race. And I'm not sure, with a big mix on the different tyres, Rafa on pole position, Bogan in second place on that set of the mediums. Can he hang with Rafa at the start of this race? Can Merckx and J. Cole try to take advantage of their start line and maybe, just with that extra grip on the softs, maybe just do a bit of heroics into Sandoval and get their way ahead of Bogan? Merckx, after a couple of races where I think he would have hoped for a tiny bit better after getting that win at the French Grand Prix, he'll be hoping he can now get himself back on track. But Kangocom is in 5th. All he has to do is stay there, and with the other drivers where they are, that would be good enough for him to extend his championship lead if the field stays as it is. Cartolondi coming into his final grid start. 2 pole positions this season. What can he do from 14th in a blue car where Olivier Panis won from 14th 26 years ago? The weather, though, was quite a bit worse than it is here tonight. As we are waiting for the lights to come on at Monaco, we've got 5 lights. And we're underway for the Monaco Grand Prix. What are the starts like? It looks like a pretty decent start there, actually, on the outside from Bogan. And he takes the lead of this race. A bit of contact between Rafa and Bogan there. And Merckx almost getting involved in that. And now J. Cole is going to try and get past our pole sitter. Nightmare start for the Haas car, but it is Bogan in the lead, Merckx in second, J. Cole just getting held up ever so slightly, and that's Kangocom, who stuck himself up into 4th, and I think Bloodwinds is going to try and follow through in this one as well. But Bogan getting away out the front of the field. Bryn Evans trying to move his way up the order. Black Panther in this as it all concertinas up into the hairpin. Everyone just ghosting there, having to watch out. Yellow flags as Black Panther losing it on the traction there, coming out of the hairpin, as we have got a bit of ghosting and a bit of decent between some of the drivers, but hopefully that won't cause too many issues throughout the session as they come through the tunnel for the first time, and the leaders are already coming out of the Nouvelle Chicane, and it is Bogan in the lead. Bryn Evans has thrown a move down the inside, I believe, of Stiprones there as Alex left the session. Hopefully he's able to get back in, as he does not want to miss this race, what could be a good opportunity for some points. But an ideal start then for Bogan, up 1 position. Rafa got a bit of a slow start. He's very lucky to have only dropped 2 places in the end, but it is Bogan, Merckx, Rafa, Kangocom, J. Cole, Bloodwinds, Stiprones coming into the pits, and perhaps that is why he was struggling earlier on if he had some damage on that car. Can only think, new front wing going on, new medium tyres, they'll be able to get him towards the end of the race. Some of these other drivers won't want to pit too early, because even though he has obviously had a front wing change in it as a longer pit stop, if he shows some decent pace, they might get stuck behind him. But lap 1 is complete, and it's Bogan, Merckx, Rafa, your top 3. Those are the position changes, the biggest winners. Those drivers who both got disqualified from qualifying. Bryn and Carter in 9th and 10th at the moment. How much further can they work their way up the order? Or will their progress now be stalled now that we're in a more traditional Monaco race situation? Here is Bryn. He's a long way back from Miami, so he's not going to be able to do anything this time around. Just following that Aston Martin diligently. Again, both Aston Martins have scored points in all the races that they've taken part in, as Alex Ghost's car just starts dropping down the field. J. Cole, one of only 5 drivers, has scored points in every race so far. So I think Bryn almost thinking about a move there into Rascash. Just tapped the rear of the Aston Martin. They will be able to use DRS for the first time next time around, but barring a miracle, it is not going to be too much use. And barring a miracle, Bogan is going to win this race. He's already got outside a DRS range of Merckx. Fantastic first couple of laps of this race from the Williams. Bryn is still all over the back of Miami. We've said this already. It is going to be a very tricky one for all these drivers to overtake tonight. Soft runners, I've seen them come in as early as lap 3 or 4. And with the field closely together at the moment, that would enable them to build a bit of a gap up. It's 13 seconds back to Alec, and he's a ghost car. You'll come out ahead of Cyprone, so 12 seconds back to Black Panther. So whether any of the drivers are thinking about that, and they are going to go for a very early pit stop, as Bryn is really pushing all over the back of Miami here, and I think he might even think about a move down into the Nouvelle Chicane. Great stuff there from Bryn. So much more pace than the Aston Martin. Brakes definitely were working absolutely fine that time around for the Alfa Romeo. He's got himself up into 8th place, showing some very good pace on those fresh medium tyres. RJW Videos is his next target. I wouldn't count out this man or Cartolondi for maybe getting themselves onto the podium at the moment. They're feeling pretty good, and there comes Cartolondi. He has worked his way past Miami into Rascash, so both getting their way ahead of Miami as Velo comes into the pits. Lap number 3, this can only be This can only be for damage on that Williams. One of the fastest drivers in the field. He's third in the championship at the moment. This won't be doing his chances any good whatsoever, as we get a lovely view of the Aston Martin car and hard tyres, and it was a front wing change. We did just see that coming into the pit garage there. The cameraman really not doing us any favours on that occasion, and already Bryn all over the back of RJW video started to push him round a few of these corners. He got a good win on Miami last time around, nowhere near as good of an exit this time through Portier, so RJW will need to hold on. And how close he was as Rafa becomes the first man to get a 3-second penalty, and doing that 4 laps into the race around Monaco, given, as we've already said, there's only about 4 or 5 places you can pick up a penalty. That's worrying. That is worrying for Rafa, and I think I'd be more worried about the fact that there could always be a safety car later on, as RJW really having a big slide there coming through the second part of the swimming pool, and he's now got Bryn all over the back of him. DRS will be open on the Alfa Romeo, and do you know what? He might just be close enough to have a go here down the inside into Saint Devot. Who says you can't overtake around this circuit? He's pulled off 2 moves in the space of 2 and a bit laps. As the Alfa Romeo, Bryn shoots himself up into 7th place. He's now got a 2-second gap to try and close up to Bloodwinds, but he is absolutely on fire in that Alfa Romeo at the moment. Just a slight little wobble from RJW took him offline into Vasquez, then into the Anthony Noakes, and it was fairly straightforward overtake there for Bryn. We'll see if it's as easy for Carter Lundy, but further up the field they all seem to be a bit stuck behind Merckx at the moment. Now, I did notice him get very close to the wall earlier on. I wonder if he's just got a tiny bit of front wing damage on this car, because he seems a lot slower in the race than he was in qualifying. And of course, being Monaco, no one's really able to make any moves at the moment. They've all just got to sit behind the cars, as is J. Cole. He lost that pace earlier on to Kango Con, as he was actually trying to turn defence, or turn attack into bigger attackers. Oh, first man to blink. Merckx into the pits then at the end of lap 5. He's going for the aggressive undercut. We'll see now whether that does free up Rafa and whether it is going to be a front wing change. And no damage on the car. Hard tyres going on for Merckx. I'm not sure that's the best strategy. Yes, his mediums would be cooked at the end of the race, but I'm really not sure that is the best way to go, as now we'll see whether Kango Con, he'll have DRS this time around. We'll have DRS this time around, of course. Things just seeming very quiet in the McLaren all of a sudden. God, I thought I was watching Formula E for a second there. Things very quiet in that car. He'll have DRS down towards Saint Devot. Will he be able to make the move on Rafa? He got close on the run towards Beau Rivard last time. You've got to be very brave, and you've got to rely on the car ahead being very forgiving if you want to make a move at that part of the circuit. So unsurprisingly, they are single file. J. Cole just picking up his first penalty of the race there, coming through the Nouvelle chicane. And Kango Con will be hoping that Rafa, J. Cole, and maybe even Bloodwinds do react to that early pit stop from XL Merck. That has put him out in 11th place. They might be able to get away with staying out a bit longer and just having the fresher tyres later on, as one of the drivers to react is J. Cole. Into the pits he comes for, and he's going on a more traditional set of the medium tyres. He will come out behind Merckx, but we'll have to see whether he's got the pace difference on the yellow wall tyres, as a clean stop from the Aston Martin crew. Still, well, I don't think actually, maybe not the best looking car this year as well. Kango Con has now made his way round the outside, just caught the tail end of that that was Massenet and Casino Square. Round the outside goes Kango Con. He is now up into 2nd place. Can he do anything about Bogin, who we're not really watching at the moment because all the action's happening behind him? And Bogin, as we see the McLaren and championship leader come through Portier, Bogin's just exiting the tunnel and we're only on lap 7. Still got 32 laps to go in this race, and he's nearly pulled away a second a lap at the moment. This has been scary pace, which he threatened to show in Portugal. This sort of pace, especially in qualifying, was a brilliant qualifying from him there. The wet race kind of just taming his pace all of a sudden. But yeah, he's doing some really good things at the moment, is Bogin. Just needs to keep that gap steady. Doesn't need to worry. Needs to watch out for the traffic, but perhaps not a lot at the moment, as J. Cole now works his way past Black Panther. I think Black Panther there maybe just slowing down to let some of these cars through. I do wonder if he has got any damage, because we saw Merckx get ahead of him pretty early on as well. Rafa's coming to the pits, so this will be an interesting to watch out. Where are Merckx and J. Cole going to come out relative to Rafa, who should just be exiting the pit lane roundabout now. And I don't think he's actually going to be anywhere near close. Rafa is just coming out of the pit lane. He must have had a front wing change in the pits. He's back behind Alec. Surely they've not gained that much on the undercut. Surely there was extenuating circumstances there. I think Rafa must have had a new front wing, but he's out of the pits. He is now in 12th place, net 11th really, because he'll be able to get ahead of his teammate, as Velo has also managed to get past Cyprones on the run down towards Sandoval as well. So he's up into 13th. And also, that is a net 12th place. We've only got 13 runners in this race, unless Alec can rejoin, as he has had connection issues. And it is Bogan leading from KangoCon. And KangoCon, he's limiting the damage a bit, as that's Bryn Evans who's up onto a podium all of a sudden. He's worked his way past Bloodwinds. How on earth has he done that on the run into Tabak? That is not a overtaking opportunity that you see too often. How has Bryn managed to pull that one off? I mean, fair play to him, but he is real. This has been a... You don't see you don't see anything like this at Monaco. David Coulthard in 2001 could have done with watching these skills, because that has been fantastic, as J. Cole's made the move on Merck, taking advantage of the medium tyres, which we said might have been a mistake for the other Alfa Romeo. Bryn is flying. Merck is just falling at the moment. J. Cole up into 8th, just trying to use advantage of this free air. He's the lead car out of those that have been into the pits at the moment. He has got that 3-second penalty, but he's got an 11-second gap to the next car ahead of him, and that is his teammate as Velo is coming back into the pits, and he does retire. So we're effectively down to just 12 cars here. Everyone who finishes will get a point, unless Alec can rejoin the session. So that is good news for a lot of the cars here, that they're all going to get points. And I said that is one thing at Monaco, you have just got to keep going. One man who is keeping going is RJW Videos, and one man who's perhaps getting frustrated is Cartalondi. He was following Bryn through the traffic earlier on, has not been able to do so now, and he's dropped back about 3.5 seconds, and he really seems to be slow on this lap. Has Cartalondi picked up some damage on this lap? And the fact that he's coming into the pits on lap number 9 from a set of mediums has got to suggest to me that he has picked up some damage. So Cartalondi into the pits, new hard tyres going on. You do have to use 2 different types of tyres, as in real Formula 1, so kind of snookered there, having to go for a set of hards. He'll come out behind Rafa, you'd expect, on this occasion, and behind Black Panther as well, as those two are having their own little battle on the run towards Sandevort. And Rafa just not quite close enough to get the move. Might have better traction, although he did squirm a bit at the moment. Coming up Beau Rivage, we said this is a bit of a brave one. He's got far enough alongside. My goodness me, he's got so much more pace at the moment. And I think Black Panther said, you know what, you can just take that position. I'm not interested in fighting. Rafa gets his way up into 9th. Crucial to do that now. Now, of course, Cartalondi is going to be the next car who's going to suffer slightly behind Black Panther, who is entitled to battle. He's just doing his own thing at the moment, but I think won't want to be causing too much trouble for everyone. And someone who is starting to cause a bit of trouble, only remaining human-controlled car, I should say, as Alec is still around being controlled by the AI on a set of the soft tyres, is Bloodwinds. And RJW, he's now starting to see this traffic issue. This is what happens when you don't get the free air on the medium tyres. He's faster at the moment. I have no doubt that he would be able to go a few tenths of a lap faster than Bloodwinds if he was ahead of him. But it's Monaco. He can't get ahead of him. J. Cole sets the fastest lap of the race. He's really starting to close into his teammate and get away from Merckx. He's already got that gap up to about 4 seconds at the moment. I do not get what Merckx was doing. Yes, coming to the pits early on. Have a set of soft tyres by all means. But the mediums will last towards the end. Don't see why you'd go for a set of hards, but there's reasons why I'm in the commentary box and not racing. More to do with the pace and strategy, but I do think that is a strategical error from Merckx. Drivers around him have got penalties, and that might benefit him later on, as RJW is really close to the back of Bloodwinds, almost feints a move into the Nouvelle Chicane, just too far back to ever really try anything realistic. This is the closest battle out on track then, as we're on lap 11 on this race, but it is Bogan leading 8.5 seconds now ahead of KangoCon. Bryn Evans a further 2.5 seconds behind. They're all on the mediums. Bloodwinds, the only man off a set of softs that has yet to come into the pits, and he is really starting to hold up RJ on this occasion. DRS on the Ferrari. He's not going to be close enough, as you'd expect, though, to have a move into Sandevort. Might just be worth trying to see if he can get a run up the hill through Beau Rivage here, and I might get a bit of a chance. He's on the outside. They're going to be side by side coming up the hill here. Who's going to have the inside? Who's going to have the advantage? And it is that extra grip for our JW videos that sweeps him round the outside at Massenet. He is up into 4th place. Now he can use the best of those medium tyres. And this, similar to what we've seen all season from Ross, is just a very solid performance. And one that could well earn him some points as Carter now tries to get himself back into the top 10 on those hard tyres. He's all over the back of Black Panther. You'd be brave to have a go down into Mirabeau. Black Panther's gone deep, so I wonder whether we're going to see him maybe throw one into the hairpin. I think this move could get done fairly early on, perhaps into the Nouvelle Chicane. I can only assume by the way Black Panther's driving at the moment, he's nursing an issue with that car, almost certainly, given the main issues he got on this game, given the nature of the circuit, almost certainly noticing a broken front wing. Carter, is he going to be close enough? No, can't send it into the chicane. And even trying to get past a stricken car on this circuit, if the car in front hits the apex and does things roughly right, as long as he doesn't make another mistake, Black Panther could be very difficult to pass for the remainder of... Oh, contact! My goodness, what's happened there? Carter London, did he try to send one on Black Panther into the second part of the swimming pool? Did Black Panther move across? We just didn't catch the best camera angle of that one. But yeah, that was a very strange incident indeed, as Carter Lundey retires from the session. So without another car, as I don't know what his car's trying to do to get into the pit lane. Alex AI does make a much better run of getting into the pit lane than Carter's AI is doing at the moment. But we're down to just 12 cars, as his AI is now completely just parking it, I think trying to do some sort of 3-point turn. And the leaders will be coming around out on the circuit soon, and this is not going to be ideal. There comes Bogan going by nice and cleanly, but KangoCon might get a bit of a shock there. I think the Alpine has finally managed to do that 3-point turn. So Carter Lundy just got stuck in traffic a bit more than Bryn Evans did, and it just shows the fine margins of the Monaco circuit. Caught out in a very strange incident, I've got to say, with himself and Black Panther, and he becomes our second retirement from this race. Alec, of course, still running around as an AI car. We've only got 11 runners, and we've still got 2/3 of the race remaining. It is Bogan now leading by 9.5 seconds from this man, KangoCon. And this might be wishful thinking to wanting to see some battling, but I think Bryn's just started to take a 10th or 2 a lap out of KangoCon at the moment. Now, of course, Bryn's got the fresher medium tyres, so that might negate that one or two tenths a lap. Might be purely down to just tyre life at the moment. But Bryn, he's had a lot of traffic to fight through, and I think he'd have taken 3rd place after 13 laps, after starting in 13th place. Of course, he was going to be one of those starting in the top 10 on a set of mediums, maybe even challenging for pole on a set of soft tyres, judging by his fastest lap, which would have been good enough for pole by a couple of thousandths of a second before he invalidated. But maybe just starting outside has been a blessing in disguise. And we've seen promising performances from him so far, and I don't want to put the jinx on him, but hopefully for him, this is a bit of a better run, as J. Cole is now right on the back of his teammate, who's right on the back of Bloodwinds. And very good tactical work there. Miami just letting his teammate go. He's got the fresher tyres. I can only presume Bloodwinds is maybe another driver who's nursing a bit of a problem, certainly with tyre life, maybe with front wing damage as well. But J. Cole, he needs to keep making these moves up the order, because he could get to the net lead of this race. Yes, he's got a 3-second penalty, but he could even get to a lead out on track, down the inside into Mirabeau's. Not one where you see too many moves. There's a bit of contact and a bit of wheel bagging between the two of them, and that might have worked out well, because that's allowed him to ghost almost straight through the McLaren, who does just hang on. And you can see he's already lost about 2 seconds to the leaders in all of that. This happens if you pit early at Monaco. You get stuck behind. Don't think you'd have expected to get stuck behind other soft runners, though. It's normally behind other medium runners. Should be able to have the grip to send one down the inside into the Nouvelle Chicane. Bloodwinds skips the chicane, gets a 3-second penalty, and I think he might have to give that one back. He's going to try and fight it. It does end up having to give it back, and Miami almost gets ahead of him as well. Got a 3-second penalty there, did Bloodwinds. He might be able to get that one removed, because I think J. Cole did all he could to get the car stopped. But I think Bloodwinds could definitely argue that, yes, I was not able to get the car slowed down in time, and I had to skip over the chicane, as it is going to be fresh medium tyres coming on for Bloodwinds. Has had a podium, of course. We've got a McLaren 1-2 at round number 3 of the season at the Portuguese Grand Prix, but that has been by far his best result so far. Still up towards the top in the championship. But looks like this race is going to be a bit more of a struggle for him as Rafa. We did get a very brief yellow flag coming through the second part of the swimming pool on that last lap. And I can only assume that is from another new front wing for Rafa then. So medium tyres going on for him. He comes out of the pits. He is going to stay. Well, he's actually going to drop behind Story Prones, but he is going to be ahead of Black Panther, who has come into the pits and is a lap down. So Rafa is going to stay in 10th place for now. We've seen him do some comebacks before. Portugal comes to mind where he had some damage, came back to 10th place. Didn't have the cleanest of races last time, came back to 4th. Don't count him out for some decent points in this race. I think we have got some more dramas as that is early. Bryn Evans clearly catching up to the back of the car in front. He's trying something different here. He's going for a bit of an undercut on those medium tyres. Coming in now, puts for hards on to get him towards the end of the race. It's going to be pretty close between him and his teammate on the pit exit here. So is Mertz going to be nice and let Bryn stay ahead of him? In fact, it's not going to be that close whatsoever. Bryn absolutely miles ahead of his teammate in the end. What might be difficult for Bryn is he's come out only a couple of seconds behind XL Miami, who could do at least another 5 or 10 laps on those mediums if he wants to. So got to watch out for this one as Bryn. Now he's got to be careful. He's clearly done it to try and get himself ahead of Kango Con, but he's got to get past the traffic. He's got to get past Miami ASAP, or else this tactic is not going to work at all, and he's going to lose himself chunks and chunks of time. Bogin, he's not reacting. He's just carrying on doing his own thing. Well, Kango Con reacts as RJW, I should say, picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the race. Those are the penalties. RJW, J. Cole, Bloodwinds, Rafa and Black Panther at the moment. Don't really stand to cost them too much. If we get a safety car, if we get anything else happening, could cost them absolute chunks. That is what Bryn is being cost at the moment. He's all over the back on Miami. Again, taking that wider line into Raskas. He did that on RJW earlier, and he was able to make a move into Sandoval. This time, though, I think Miami got a slightly better run than the Ferrari did at the start of this race. And Bryn just has to stay behind, loses it in the dirty air, and taps the wall. It was a very light, side-on tap with the wheels, I think, more than the front wing. So might have got away with that one. But just shows how easy it is to lose the car here, especially when you're driving with such a on-the-edge setup as what seemed to be quick on this game, and as what Bryn seems to prefer, because he is really all over the back of Miami, and really on quite a few occasions having to show off his real-life go-karting skills to try and keep control of this car. This is the closest he's been for a while, almost pushing the Aston Martin through the tunnel onto the Nouvelle chicane. Is Bryn going to be able to do a move? I think he might be able to send one down the inside. There's contact between the two of them. Bryn gets spun round, and I don't think he's going to be very happy with that one whatsoever. Wouldn't surprise me if we see that going to the stewards, because I think there was space there. Whether Miami and Bryn both moved at the same time, but I'd say there was space initially. And I'll be very surprised if Bryn's got away without any damage. Hasn't lost any places, so can carry on. Does look like he's got a bit of understeer in that car, though. Bogin's coming to the pits. He's come out in second place. He's had a fresh set of the hard tyres. Yeah, game, set and match Bogin. All he's got to do, and I say that as if it's easy, all he's got to do is keep it out of the wall for the next 21 laps. And Bogin will be taking his first victory of the season, and possibly the most dominant we've seen so far. And at a track like Monaco, dominating like this, if he gets to take part in more races of reserve, given how many he's done so far, 3 in a row, you've got to say that's probably going to be likely rather than unlikely that if he's available, he'll do the majority of races this season. I would not count out the reserve driver for a possible shot at the championship. Rafa showing his pace. Another fastest lap of the race. Sniper Owns coming into the pits. Another front wing change. Another set of medium tyres on. This will drop him. Well, he's going to be pretty close to being a lap down. He might not quite. In fact, he will get lapped here, so he will drop behind Black Panther into 11th and effectively last race. But this is where all the action's happening. Further down the order, J. Cole's now all over the back of RJW videos. Don't think this is too important for J. Cole. He can just run his own race at the moment, just to try to keep those hard tyres in a good mediums, in a good state. He's still good for, I'd say, 3rd place at worst. Maybe even 2nd place at best, depending on how high he comes out ahead of Kango Con and whether we see any more penalties. So 2 in a row is looking pretty good, although he is getting frustrated now behind RJW, who looks to be doing the more traditional medium to soft strategy, just staying out as long as possible. He'd come out behind Bloodwinds at the moment, but that's where he was earlier on, and he'd be on much, much, much better tyres at the end. Could even get himself that point for the fastest lap, so that is going to be one to watch out for. That point is currently being held by Rafa, who sets another fastest lap of the race, and J. Cole didn't even need to change camera there. You can see by the timing, just not close enough to have a move into the chicane. Given what we saw with Bryn and Miami earlier, perhaps it's wise not to be close enough to have a go into the chicane, but it seems to be the best place, and Bryn seems to have recovered from that. He's still catching up to Miami. 2.5 seconds he's got the gap back to. Needs to gain a couple of more seconds though. Needs to get ahead of Miami, I think, or for Miami to pit if he wants to have any hope of maybe getting second in this race as well. So Kango Con will come out as things stand ahead of Bryn and probably just behind Miami, but expect that to change with the pace of the drivers and maybe the pace of the tyres as well, even though they are on identical tyres. Bogan, unsurprisingly, is now starting to catch up to the race leader. Let's go on board with a Williams, who we've not really talked about so much because he's just been on his own ever since he got that great start to the race. You would have expected, if anything, him to have been the one to lose out to some of the other drivers, but in fact he gained from Rafa at the start of the race, and all he has to do is keep on going, keep on running, and set himself some very decent times. Just avoid the wall and just try and stay in a rhythm, and it's sometimes a distraction that can happen at this circuit if everyone else around you, of course, is just doing their own thing. As you're driving there on your own. Can be a bit of a mental challenge when you've just got the clock to beat, and it is tempting just to push that little bit harder. Could take some great restraint here, as J. Cole needs to restrain himself away from those track limits. That is a 3-second time penalty. First man to get himself up onto 6 seconds, although he is all over the back of RJW. This is the closest he's been, but with no ERS, can't gain on the Ferrari. Just has to stay behind another lap, and every lap behind is going to cost him later on. Can he get a run? Ooh, just has to lift off there. That flat out section, definitely not straight up through Beau Rivage. Towards the end, it counts as a corner. As round the outside at Casino Square, you don't see too often. He's got the pace as well of the fresh tyres. That is a very interesting move from J. Cole. Round the outside into Casino Square. He's up into third. Now he can push on those tyres to try and just negate that 6-second penalty for when we see some of the others come into the pits. Rafa's in for his third stop. He is not having fun whatsoever in this race. Might even be able to take a set of soft tyres now towards the ends, although medium would be more comfortable. But J. Cole, he's just got to push like he has never pushed before. Bryn's going to be catching him up at the end, and Kango Con, after he pits, will certainly be catching him up. Another podium's possible here in Monaco, so it makes sense that we get an Aston Martin near a podium in such a glamorous location. But boy, is J. Cole going to have to work if he wants to get his best result of the season, and he's just got a bit of lap traffic up ahead of him. That is Sniperones and Black Panther having their own battle, and Sniperones gets himself up into the top 10. Black Panther still going around in 11th, and Alec, you can see there, he is still ghosted. He has been unable to rejoin the session. His ghost car, though, not showing some bad pace at the moment. He's doing a very respectable job indeed, as Bryn picks up his first time penalty. That could be fatal to any chances he has of getting his first podium of the season. And Bloodwinds has worked his way past Merckx. These hard tyres, I'm not sure it's the one to go for if you're in this traffic, because Bloodwinds, he's really catching up here. He's flying onto the back of Bryn. He could pass him later on in this race. He could definitely get his way ahead of him, and that would be good for McLaren. Leading the Constructors' Championship, 1st and 7th in the race at the moment. We know, we're certain that is going to change later on. Of course, with Kango Con coming into the pits at the moment, he would drop towards for 3rd place, because RJW is the other one who needs to pit. Only drivers that have yet to come into the pits are our race leader, and he's not going to be leading for much longer, because there goes Bogan way ahead before we get towards Sandevort, and there goes Bogan into the lead of this race. He takes the lead. Now all he has to do for the final 16 laps is keep it calm, keep the Williams pointing in the right direction, and he will claim a dominant victory in this first race of the season. Miami's into the pits, which is good news for both of the Alfa Romeos. Medium tyres off, soft tyres on, and a front wing change. So this will drop him only down into 8th place, because we've seen Rafa as you can see on that timing tower, he's had 3 stops this race. He's not really enjoying things at the moment, I think, Rafa. He's finding it quite difficult, but that can happen. That can happen in league racing. Fair play to him for keeping going, because a safety car could bring him right into things. He's only got one. Oh, Brin's out of the race. Brin's lost it again into Mirabeau there. Now, is that another brake pedal failure? Yellow flags are out. No safety car or VSC at the moment, but Brin seems to have gone straight on at Mirabeau, and he's gone a long way in there. That looks like more of a throttle failure than a brake pedal failure. But Brin is out of this race. Another retirement yet to finish any race so far this season. When will he get the results that his pace perhaps deserved? But in round 1 of the season, we were talking about a possible title contender. I think it's safe to say, unless something seriously changes for Brin, unless he makes a deal with the devil, he is not going to be near the championship at the moment. So we're down to effectively 10 runners all of a sudden here. Alex still an AI car. We've effectively only got 10 cars left in this race. Merckx coming into the pits. Hard tyres off. Is this going to be a front wing change? Yes, it is. Front wing change. Did wonder if he could have done that as his first pit stop. Soft tyres on. This will drop him behind Miami into 7th. After what was such a promising start to the race for him. Again, just seems to have all tailed out. Alfa Romeo's lap 24 will not be one they remember fondly in the Alfa Romeo garage. It has caused all sorts of problems for them. Merckx having to pit for a new front wing. And perhaps more devastating for them. Bryn Evans retiring from the race. At one point it looked like he might get a podium. No such luck for him. And I am surprised Kangokon. I'm surprised we haven't seen him come into the pits to put on a set of soft tyres soon. As well as RJW. RJW will only lose out to Bloodwinds at the moment. It's still going to be a pretty good performance. Kangokon 8 seconds ahead of J-Col. That's 10-11 seconds behind after the pit stop. 13 laps to go at the end of this one if he comes in here. He's going to have to make up a second a lap and try to overtake around Monaco on that set of soft tap. Well, J-Col has that penalty, so ignore that. He's probably going to get second here, which he would have taken. It will allow him to extend that championship lead, but I think the dominance of Bogan is just going to worry him ever so slightly. He'd have hoped that he could be closer towards the front of the field, shall we say. It's just not quite been, but him and RJW, only drivers that have yet to come into the pits, have done a stellar job of running these mediums. Again, perhaps justifying that if you were Merckx earlier on, you should have put the medium tyres on. Maybe then you won't have struggled as much on the hard tyres. Yes, you might have still needed to come in at some point for a front wing change, but things could have been very different for Merckx. He's kept it clean, so he's going to gain on Miami when it comes to penalties, and depending on the pace of those soft drivers, could even catch a few other runners up later on. This is going to be a... not all is lost for Merckx. He's still going to get... if he doesn't retire, he's still going to get 6th, and it would not surprise me if we see him get into the top 5. But lap number 27 of the race, this is the closest battle out on circuit. We're into the final third, and it is Bogan in the lead from Kangokon and J-Col rounding out the top 3. In fact, we have had now. RJW is into the pits. Front wing change for him. Fresh soft tyres on. Perhaps maybe just damaging that front wing a bit more on that lap, or taking it as long as he thought he could manage. That's going to be good news for Merckx, who has worked his way past Miami. Good news that the car in front of him has got a penalty. So if Merckx pushes here, there is still a top 5 finish on here. But RJW does only have 3 seconds, so needs to gain about 1.8 seconds. Judging by qualifying, that is definitely on. So I think after making, 2 stops in this race, Merckx would take a top 5 finish as Miami. He's into the pits. That is another front wing going on his car. Back into the pits he comes. He'll drop behind Rafa. And this is why I said carry on, because Rafa, he's been down in 10th, 11th at various points in this race. He's now in 7th place, and with the carnage we've seen happen, and would not be surprised if he manages to maybe gain another position or 2, as that is Kangokon just lapping the Aston Martin of Miami, who's still going to keep that record he's got of points of every race he's attended. J-Col still keeping that record, as is Kangokon and Bloodwinds, and I believe maybe even RJW videos as well, of scoring points in every race of the season so far. And as Judge Russell said in that infamous PowerPoint, consistency is key in Formula 1. That's why J. Cole's got himself in the top 10 of the championship, as has Bloodwins, as has RJW, and as has the man who stands to extend his championship lead over those at the moment. Bogan would close in ever so slightly, but is not really someone to worry about at the moment, down in 10th place. Looks like Kango Con is going to have a 4th podium of the season out of 5 races. He keeps this up. He's going to be very hard to beat, but still, 12 laps to go, still a lot to happen. He's still got to come into the pits. He'll be close with his teammate on the exit. But he's relying on those soft tyres, giving him some very handy pace at the moment. He knows he can get DRS off the car in front, so maybe that's why he stayed out 1 extra lap. But I would not want to be... I'd have come in a couple of laps ago to ensure that I had enough time to catch up to J. Cole, because you don't want to come into the pits and then run out of time to catch up to J. Cole. What could be a very solid second place here is all of a sudden not looking as certain for the McLaren, and maybe there's just a chance for the Aston Martin, even with that 3 second time, well 6 seconds of time penalties, to just hold on and improve on his results from last time. Apart from France to from Emilia Romagna to France, he's done better every single race. 10th at Imola, 11th at Paul Ricard, 6th at Portugal, 3rd in Austria. Maybe there's a second as, Merckx must have picked up some front wing damage. He's back into the pits. And that's actually going to drop him behind Rafa, so that's going to be a battle to watch out for. And I said this is why if you're Rafa, you just keep on going at the moment. He's causing all sorts of problems for Bogan here. Well, I'm sure we'll be wanting the ghost car to get out of the way. Yes, it's not going to hold him up with dirty air. Yes, he's got no danger of crashing into him, but it's always a distraction when you have that ghost car ahead of you. And as you can see, they have managed to get their way ahead of Merckx, but I think Rafa there just going to have to yield now with the worst tyres. Still trying to hold on to the back of Bogan. Bogan would have got DRS down the straight, which is one advantage, but Rafa is now up into 6th place. We've only got 5 cars on the lead lap here, which shows what a inconsistent, perhaps predictable Monaco Grand Prix. Yes, we've had all sorts of unpredictable accidents happening, but through a PC team around Monaco, I suppose that is fairly predictable that you're going to have plenty of drivers having plenty of issues with keeping their cars out of the wall. And of course, a safety car now would really put Rafa and Exxon Merckx in a bad position, because they wouldn't be able to gain any positions, and everyone else up ahead would just sort of close. So that battle we were talking about between Merckx maybe catching up to the back of the Ferrari, now that he's a lap down, I don't see it happening. We've only got 9 to go at the end of this one, and it is Bogan in the lead of this race. Still, Kango Con is stretching those medium tyres as long as he dares. I can't see him going much longer. Surely, if he wants to even possibly finish in 2nd place, he has got to come in the next lap or two. Whether he's waiting for a safety car that I don't think is going to come. And even then, I'm not sure a safety car, yes, it'd probably guarantee he beats J. Cole with all the traffic, but I think he's left this too late here. He's only 3 seconds ahead of J. Cole. Yes, he can make that 9 because of the penalties. Well, I suppose over 9 laps you can make 10 seconds on a set of soft tyres, but he's going to have to really push those softs, perhaps a bit harder than he'd have wanted to in the end of this race. As I think we are now seeing a bit of a battle going on here. There is Rafa, still a lap down, just starting to turn solid. This might be the opportunity for Merckx. He's got a lot fresher soft tyres, of course. 15 laps down the inside into the Nouvelle Chicane is not one that's going to happen. They're showing decent pace, and you can tell that by the fact that Rafa keeps on ghosting every now and then, which is probably just making it a bit more distracting for Merckx to try and think about where you can get this move done. Oh, he's lost it! Loses it over the curb. Merckx spins round. That is another end plate gone. That is a position lost to Miami, and that is going to have to be another pit stop, and he's going to see Sniper Owns, I think, take that position. Just looked very squirrely through the first part of the swimming pool. Definitely squirrely through the second part. He's got that front wing damage. Pit stop number 4 for the Alfa Romeo. Hopefully, he doesn't retire in the pits. And as I say that, Exxon Merckx retires from the session. We're down to 9 runners. It's a shame for Alec. I mean, who's to say he wouldn't have retired out on track or had a retirement in the pit lane, but it's a shame for him that he's not able to get back into the session. But maybe joining on lap 38 at the moment might be the best thing to do to get back into the session, because at least then you don't have to worry too much about what your car is doing, as it is trying to send a bit of a move on Black Panther at the moment, who's finding himself, without having, again, probably another race that I can't see him being too happy with, but he's kept it going, he's kept it out of the wall a lot better than drivers that he'd probably agree, are quicker than him. He's going to be rewarded with his best result of the season in 9th place at the moment, and it could still get better for him as Kango Kon is still carrying out there, and the gap is now just 1.5 seconds to J. Cole. Why, oh why, is Kango Kon not coming in to put fresh soft tyres on? You can see the graining on the front right, that line that starts to appear about 2/3 across the tyre when you get to around 60% tyre wear. We call it graining, it is just more tyre wear, but it's very reminiscent of what you see with graining. As there comes championship leader Kango Kon into the pits. That frees up J. Cole. Right, can the McLaren do the 7 laps of his life to get back within 6 seconds of the Aston Martin? Can the Aston Martin do the 6 laps of his life to try and ensure that does not happen? Watch for times, folks. If it drops to 6 seconds, assuming there's no other penalties in this race, if that gap drops to 6 seconds, then Kango Kon will take 2nd place. If it stays above that, then J. Cole will get his best result of the season. He's looking good. As long as he keeps it out of the wall, at least, he's looking good for a 2nd podium in a row, which would definitely bump him a long way up in the championship. I think at the moment might even bump him into the top 5 with the way things are going. So, very good performance from J. Cole. But still, as Bobby Walker said, anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. 6 and a bit laps to go as Bogan goes round Vasquez and Anthony Noakes for the 33rd time out of 39. And he now has a 15-second lead. All he's got to do in the Williams, all he's got to do is keep it calm for the final 12 or so miles, 20 plus kilometres, and he will claim his first win of the season and the first one for the Williams team. And I believe the 2nd one for a reserve after Carter Lundy at round 1 at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Just trying to see where the battles might be out on track. What could be a battle if he finds a bit of pace, but I'm not sure at the moment because it does look like he's dropped back. Miami on that set of soft tyres, 6.9 seconds now behind Rafa. He's lost about 2 or 3 tenths actually through the first sector, so whether he has picked up any damage or not, I'm not so sure. But Miami not perhaps streaking up to the back of the Haas as you would expect him to do so. RJW as well, he's 10.6 behind Bloodwinds at the moment. Again, both of them with 3 seconds of penalties. Not really flying their way up the order that I think we'd be expecting. Keeping it nice and tidy. It's going to be another top 5 finish for RJW, who, amazingly, given the fact that he says, yeah, you know, I wasn't really expected to be near the front this season. If things stay as they are at the moment, he's top 5 every race so far this season. 4th in Imola, 5th at Paul Ricard, 3rd in Portimao, 5th in Austria, and it's going to be another 5th here. It's going to keep him 2nd in the championship. Just finds a tiny bit more pace, or, you know, Kango Kon misses a race. You never know if RJW could maybe put on a bit of a championship challenge here as Black Panther, his teammate, gets back ahead of the car of Alec. Unsurprisingly, Kango Kon sets the fastest lap of the race. He's now got 8 seconds to gain in 5 laps for J. Cole. This is going to be good here. This is going to be the best 5 laps you've probably ever seen around the Monaco circuit if Kango Kon can pull this one off to get himself that extra 3 points. Maybe, just maybe, if he thinks like he's not doing it for the first couple of laps, he might take the sensible option and just back himself off and think, you know what, I'm going to get 3rd place. Yes, it is another podium. It's not 2nd, but it's not worth binning it in the wall and losing the 15 points because Bogan, even though he's a bit behind in the championship, he's proven himself to be a very solid competitor this evening as he now goes on to lap number 36 out of 39 on this race. We're only about 4 and a bit minutes from the end all of a sudden of the Monaco Grand Prix, and it has been very Monaco Grand Prix. We saw a few moves earlier on. Bryn really pulling off some great moves into the Sandemont and into Vasquez. Oh, sorry, coming out of Vasquez into Sandemont and into the Nouvelle Chicane earlier on. We had that delay for those who were joining us late because of the change of session time from daytime to midnight, and Bogan was fastest in that first qualifying session when the decision was made. He was 2nd fastest in this qualifying session, but started on a set of the medium tyres, got the lead at the start, and you know what? He's never really looked in doubt. No penalties either. This has been a supreme performance so far, and he's just got to keep it up for the final 3 and a bit laps, and Kango Kon is really gaining on J. Cole. He's gained about 2.5 seconds in the last lap and a bit. So he's on pace to do it, I'd say, at this moment in time. Net 5 seconds behind, roughly, at the moment, because J. Cole has that penalty. A penalty either way is going to swing this battle. If J. Cole gets another 3 seconds, Kango Kon will get second. If Kango Kon gets 3 seconds, I can't see him being able to gain, another... You have to gain another 8 seconds all of a sudden on the back of the Aston Martin. So that's going to be the main thing I think we're watching at the moment. RJW, yes, he's closing up to the other McLaren. And McLaren are going to get at worst a 3-4 out of this. And again, are going to extend their championship lead. Bloodwind's another one that you can probably put up there with RJW. Maybe just with a bit more pace, but he's got that consistency. He's had the odd dodgy race, you could say. Last time in Austria, perhaps, and France, only getting 12th in both of them. But he's finished each one. He hasn't given up when things are going against him. And that is what you need to do if you win championships. You keep turning up. You never know. You just might be able to get lucky one day. I know Monaco is normally the circuit where you get lucky. Saudi Arabia in 2 weeks' time. That could well be one where we see quite a few chaos as well. Black Panther into the pits. I've got to think this is a bit of a late lunge for a fastest lap point for Black Panther. Soft tyres going on. He'll be very surprised if he gets that, as Bogan into the pits. Bogan perhaps going for that late run for the fastest lap here. J. Cole's less than a pit stop behind here. This is a brave call from Bogan to come into the pits. Soft tyres going on. It is all going to depend about how good of a run J. Cole gets here. Will he come out on circuit ahead of Bogan? I think he might do. And I'm not sure Bogan is going to get that one towards the fastest lap that he would have wanted. They're going to be side by side coming up the hill. Bogan's going to have the extra grip. There's contact! Contact! The front wing gone for Bogan. My goodness me. Drama in the final few laps here at Monaco. The race leader, so far ahead, thought he could set a fastest lap point, has come in. He's lost his front wing on contact with J. Cole. And all of a sudden, what looked like the simplest, the easiest 25 points you were going to see all season is really in doubt. Has J. Cole got front wing damage as well? I can't see. He's definitely not got as much. But yeah, I think surely he's got to be missing at least an end plate on that car. No, he isn't. Don't know how he's got away with that one. My, oh my. Late drama here. And now Kango Kon. He's 6 seconds behind J. Cole. All he has to do in the final lap of a bit. I mean, can Bogan hold on? Should hold on for a podium at least. But that did look like... That looked like the most straightforward win we were ever going to see. He went for the fastest lap point. J. Cole got ahead of him. Side by side up Beau Rivage rarely works. Neither driver yielded. There was contact. He's still 3 seconds ahead. Who knows? He might still get the win here. But I think surely Kango Kon is going to catch. Whether he can take the victory or not is a different matter. He's going to catch him out on circuit. And I think all of a sudden he's thinking, my. I am in with a chance here. Final lap of the race. Kango Kon 2 seconds behind Bogan. Surely he can't defend from the McLaren, who has got all his necessary downforce. And that is going to be one we're going to be talking about for a while. Can Bogan actually even stay within 6 seconds of J. Cole? He might still be able to get a second place out of this, but he went for a fastest lap point. Why do that when you're that far ahead? Why do that when you're not sure you've got a pit stop gap of the car in front? And now, here is Kango Kon about to take the lead of this race. He's going to have to try it down the inside on the brakes. Bogan brakes as late as possible, and Kango Kon still can't get ahead of him. He might hold on here for the race victory with no front wing. I have never seen the like. Oh, he's gone into the wall again. There's a bit of contact there, side by side through the swimming pool. Kango Kon takes second place out on circuit. Bogan couldn't quite hold on. It's going to be J. Cole, who is going to be the first car across the line here around a Monaco Grand Prix that I think we are going to be discussing for a very long time. He takes the victory at the Checo flag. Kango Kon takes... Kango Kon takes the victory in the end there. Bogan takes second. J. Cole takes third. And I'm not sure what I've just witnessed, folks. I am not sure what I have just seen happen. What looked like, as we said, the easiest win you're ever going to see here has gone horribly wrong for Bogan. He came into the pits, he's made contact with J. Cole. He still gets second place, which is still a fantastic result, but definitely not what you would have expected. Kango Kon taking a very unexpected victory. Bloodwind's in fourth. RJW comes home in fifth. Rafa will come home in 6th. The field is quite spread out at this moment in time. Rafa's going to be 6th. Black Panther, he says 10th, but he is going to be 9th because of the penalty situation. Well, because of Alex Carr being AI at the end of this race. Miami is going to come home in 7th place as the final finisher, but yeah, I think that's a lesson to everyone, folks. Maybe if you haven't got a pit stop lead, don't come in for the fastest lap, unless the game was telling him he had a pit stop lead. I'm not sure, but I think he'd have known from the timing it was going to be very close. Miami there, final car to cross the finish line to come home in 7th place. Drive for the day, awarded by the in-game fan, goes to Kango Con. I think maybe the luckiest drive for the day, and even he'll admit that in the post-race interviews if we can get him in. That was a, yeah. Again, do not know what to say about that one. Kango Con takes the victory. Bogan comes home in 2nd, and it is J. Cole in 3rd position. Here are the rest of the results then from that Monaco Grand Prix, and these are very provisional because I'm almost certain we're going to see some stewards' inquiries after that one. Kango Con wins, Bogan in 2nd, J. Cole 3rd, Blood wins 4th, RJW Videos another top 5 finish for him. Rafa is 6th, Miami gets points once again in 7th, Styfrones gets his best result of the season with 8th position. Alec, it was an AI car, so he won't score any points, so Black Panther will get in 9th place. Merckx, Bryn, Carter Lundy, Velho, the retirements from a race which I think showed why it's never over until the fat lady sings. Because we all thought, and I definitely thought, and I'll take full credit for maybe saying, oh, well, this race looks like it's pretty over. But yeah, that was a, I think there's going to be a bit of, it could be a very interesting post-race podium interviews. Let's put it that way. I think it could be very interesting post-race podium interviews indeed here. We're going to try and get the top 3 drivers in. There might be a bit of a debate between some of them about what has happened there, because I still can't quite believe what I have seen happen. What looked like the most dominant race of the season, what looked like maybe the most dominant win of the season from Bogan. And it's all just falling apart. It's all just fallen apart right at the end for Bogan there, and I think he's going to be... I think there's annoyance at what happened in the incident. Don't get me wrong, there is definitely annoyance at what happened in the incident, but I think also whether some of that's at himself for coming into the pits when it wasn't really necessary to do so, I'm not so sure. We're going to wait and see if we do get anyone to join us for the podium interviews. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask about that one, let me think. But I think there is a... There's definitely a feeling that was a very interesting race here. We are gonna get the podium interviews underway then, and we're gonna start with a man who finished in 3rd place, and that was J. Cole. And I think there's only one place we could start, that incident on lap 38.
Yeah, I suppose. I felt like I left the room for Bogan on the outside, but for some reason he seems to see it differently. I literally was as far to the left as I possibly could go. Otherwise, I was hitting that wall. There's not much to it. It's a racing incident, but there's not much I can suggest about it.
Yeah, it did look very close indeed. Apologies for the viewers there. We're just having a bit of an issue with some of the sound. Just tell us, I think, in general, about how the rest of the race is going up till then. You look like you had some pretty decent pace on the fresh tyres when you weren't stuck in traffic, and that's pretty much the story of Monaco, managing the traffic. But you seem to do okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit tough at first, trying to sort of push through against, I think it was Merckx and Black Panther at the start. And then saw Merckx go for an absolute send. And I thought, okay, I kind of need to just go for this now. And then, luckily for me, I think his PC lagged. He messaged me before the race saying that he had to restart his PC because it was lagging. So when his PC lagged, and he ended up pushing inside of me, I thought, I've just got to take this opportunity. Ran with it, and then it was just trying to catch up to the rest of the field. What I was quite surprised about, though, I'm not going to lie, was the fact that Kango stayed out for as long as he did.
Yeah, I think that was one that shocked me as well, if I'm being honest. I thought he'd have come in a bit earlier, but it all worked out well in the end. That's 2 podiums in a row for yourself, J. Cole. Next time around Silverstone, do you think you can make it a hat-trick?
I I'm quite a fan of Silverstone, so I'm hoping so. I mean, I wasn't even expecting a race tonight, so to pick up a podium tonight, it could have been better, but to pick up a podium tonight, regardless, I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely take it indeed. So I'll let you head off then, and I'll probably continue with the discussion with Bogan in the Discord chat. And next up, it is going to be our race winner, not the race winner that I think we expected for 38 out of 39 laps of that race. It is Kango Con. Perhaps a bit lucky, but you'll take everything you can get, and still a good performance from yourself anyway.
Well, to be honest, like for maybe 25 laps, more or less, I had to manage fuel every time because I went super low on fuel, but there was no safety car, so I was a bit stuck with the strategy. So that's why I stayed out for 33 laps on mediums, because I was slower, so it was easier to save fuel. And yeah, I honestly don't know what happened in front. Like they lost 3 seconds in the space of less than 2 laps. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened in front is I think Bogan came into the pits to maybe get the fastest lap point, came out alongside J. Cole, and there was contact coming up the hill out of Sandavort. That definitely damaged Bogan. He completely lost his front wing. 3 wins in a row for yourself. You're having a fantastic run at this moment.
Yeah, I struggled 1 year just to get 1 win, and it's all coming together right now. I mean, I've been lucky the 2 last races. Portimao was purely on pace, but other races it was a bit more lucky. So I think in Silverstone, yeah, podium will be just the aim. And I mean, if I can win 4 races in a row, then I will do it. But yeah, it's just luck at the moment.
I mean, I can't quite calculate at the moment what you've extended your lead in the championship to, but who do you see your main rival being for the championship at this moment in time? Because there's been 5 races now. We're starting to get an idea of who the quick guys are. Yeah, who do you think is going to be your main challenger now?
I think Marcus, when he will come back, because he's way faster than me, so he may catch up. And maybe Blood, because it's a bit the same as me. Like, we are not the quickest, but we are always trying to make things work with strategies and everything. So he can be ahead of me at any moment, and I thought he would be, to be honest, with the fuel issues I have. So yeah, probably Blood and Marcus at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely worked out for yourself tonight on the strategy. 3rd win out of 5 this season. I'll let you head off now.
Thank you.
It doesn't look like we are going to get Bogan in, which perhaps is not too surprising, given how that race ended for him. Maybe he'll be able to redeem himself next time out. As you've heard the drivers say, it is Silverstone, the home of the first ever Formula 1 race. Who will take the victory there? Will we see Kango Con make it 4 in a row? Will Bogan be able to redeem himself? And maybe even Marcus Towler, the man that we've just seen there, who Kango Con thinks is his main rival for the championship this season. Maybe we'll see Marcus get his first victory. There is plenty of other League of Europe action, of course. So Division 1, 4 and 5 are on at 6:30 tomorrow. Division 2 and 5... No, Division 1, 3 and 4, I should say, sorry, are on at 6:30. Division 2 and 5 are streamed at 8:10. And we'll be back at 8 p.m. on the 25th of February for the British Grand Prix. But for myself, I really hope you've enjoyed this Monaco race, always showing that it is not over until it's over. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and goodbye.